And we continue to welcome the various dignitaries and heads of state, VIPs, to the event here at the Union Buildings. Again, it just really is such a beautiful moment and a beautiful environment and atmosphere. The sun is rising, so those who have been feeling a little bit frostbitten and chilly this morning can surrender their blankets and just embrace the warmth of the glorious sun that's giving us light here over the edifice of the Union Buildings. And we're meeting different people, which is also really lovely. So I'm going to talk now to the Ambassador of Zimbabwe to South Africa, David Hamadziripi, who joins me. It is a lovely morning, and I believe that your president has also arrived. Not sure if he's made his way to the amphitheater yet. Just tell us more about President Emmerson Mnangagwa and the importance for the people of Zimbabwe of this event and this moment for South Africa.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me. It is indeed a very beautiful day, and it's a privilege and an honor for me to join you and your audience for this auspicious occasion. My president is here, and that underlines the importance of the relationship that we have between Zimbabwe and South Africa, but also the joy that we have as Zimbabwe to come and join you as you celebrate your democracy, as you celebrate this new era, and of course President Ramaphosa getting ready to take on a new mandate.
So when you reflect back on the electoral process and the journey that has brought us to this day, the ANC is in a very different position than it was, in the last election. It is now having to form a government of national unity, collaborate with people that perhaps it didn't want to collaborate with in the past, and really build a government that can work and function for its people. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first we must congratulate the people of South Africa for the election that they have held and the expression of the will of the people of this nation in terms of the governance that they are looking forward to after this plebiscite. We were very much impressed by the way the election was organized. Because
Zimbabwe was also a part of the observer group, right?
Yes, we were also part of the SADC election observer group, also the African Union observer group. But I also had the privilege to visit a few polling stations on that day. It was beautiful. It was quiet. It was very peaceful, and everybody went about their business nicely. Clearly, for us, we know South Africa has gone through a similar period where you have had a government of national unity. So it is an experience you have had before, and we have every confidence that the government that is going to be appointed after this inauguration is one that is going to take South Africa forward, that is going to promote good neighborliness, that is going to promote regional integration, and of course continental integration. South Africa is a very important member of SADC. South Africa is also a very important member of Africa. So clearly we look forward to a government that will continue that leadership, that activism in Africa. Thank you.
How would you compare and contrast the election journey that South Africa has been on over the last few months? Of course, the May 29 elections, the declaration of the result. There were challenges along the way, legal challenges. Some parties still today feel that they want to take some of the issues further in terms of their claims around irregularities and so on. But by and large, a peaceful election that has delivered South Africa a peaceful moment and acceptance of these results from a constitutional perspective, to the point where now we ratify that decision with the swearing in and the inauguration ceremony of the president-elect. How would you compare to what's happening in your country at home, having had elections in August of last year, having had a number of criticisms leveled about the quality and the integrity of those polls? And we know historically, I've also covered elections in Zimbabwe over the last few decades, where it has not been without its problems. What are your observations of these two neighbors and their electoral and democratic journey?
Well, we have had very, excuse me, we've had very different historical experiences. We also have had very different journeys in terms of our democracy. We do believe that in Zimbabwe, we do have elections that are held according to the laws, according to the regulations and the practices of our country, and indeed according to the practices that we have signed to under the SADC election observer convention. But you do have a very different political experience and a very different opposition in terms of how they also relate to the management and the governance and the democracy and the growth of democracy in the country. So we are ourselves quite proud of the way we have conducted our elections. Yes, election observer missions are there to make their observations, but ultimately we have to hold the elections according to our laws and according to our constitution, and we believe that we do meet those standards.
Ambassador Hamadziripi, when you talk about a very different opposition space, explain what you mean by that.
What I mean by that is, certainly in South Africa, you have seen an opposition which accepts the outcomes of the elections and they go by the rules and by the laws of this country. You have those who are aggrieved in this country, for instance, who have decided they will follow the legal route in order to have their grievances addressed. Similarly, in Zimbabwe, we do have laws, we have the electoral laws, which do provide for those parties that may be aggrieved to follow that legal recourse in order to get any satisfaction or get a response.
What's the contrast in the Zimbabwean context then?
Well,
by the way, we are seeing different arrivals. The former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, president of Nigeria, also arriving on the red carpet there. We'll keep picture on that as we begin to conclude our conversation with David Hamadziripi, who is the ambassador for Zimbabwe, of course, our neighbors to the north. They're just sharing with us what the difference is when it comes to how the opposition then operates in Zimbabwe. Of course, the reports on our side of the border, that it's problematic and that it's repressive and oppressive.
Well, it isn't. What you have had, for instance, in the August 23 elections, you had a party or parties who said they were not pleased, they were not happy with the conduct of the elections, and they said there were irregularities, but they only made allegations. They didn't follow the laws in terms of getting those grievances addressed. Here we have been informed some of the parties that are aggrieved have actually gone to the electoral court, and that is how it should be, because you do have institutions, you do have legal frameworks, and you do have procedures and processes that need to be followed for one to get any grievances that you have to be addressed.
Ambassador, cordial relations between South Africa and Zimbabwe historically over the years. What is the expectation of the government of President Mnangagwa from this administration?
Well, our expectation is we are going to continue to strengthen and deepen our bilateral relations. As you may be aware, we have what we call the Binational Commission between Zimbabwe and South Africa, and we are looking forward to have a session of that Binational Commission, hopefully before the end of next year. And this enables us to look at the whole range of areas of cooperation that we are already working on and see how we can, in fact, take into account other developments in terms of those relationships and other developments in the economies. Today we are talking a lot about artificial intelligence, we are talking about new technologies, so we need also to bring our own cooperation, bilateral cooperation, to take into account of all those new developments. So we are looking forward to strengthening those relations, and we are very happy and congratulate again the people of South Africa.
Thank you, Ambassador David Hamadziripi, the ambassador to South Africa for Zimbabwe.